Hello again, and welcome back to the 1875 Lady in Waiting channel. I'm Mark, and I'm glad that you found us. If it's your first visit, we're really happy. If you've come back to visit us again, we're thrilled. That means you're liking something about us. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to basically finish up the tour that we've been doing of the house. We're going to tour the upstairs and whatnot, and that'll kind of get everyone finally kind of caught up to where we are. I say get you caught up, but one of the things that we've never really talked about is all the things that we've went through with the historic preservation folks and engineers and architects and those things that we haven't really covered in any way, shape, or form. And there's actually was a lot of time invested in those. We had multiple stages. There was we had what they called the staff review, then we had to go through the committee review, and then we had to go through the whole council review. And each one of those could approve or deny different segments and whatnot. Now the good thing is, and this is what I've told people, they're like, well, how did you get all your approvals? Is that one of the things that I started off with was I said, what do you all want me to do? It sounds crazy, but if you start with that end goal in mind, it's worked out much more efficient and much easier. By starting with them, it made my life actually a lot easier. I mean, they really didn't have anything that I didn't want to go ahead and do. I mean, obviously our plan is to recycle as much of the stuff as we can and to reuse things, restore things maybe as much as that we can to the exterior to try to preserve what it should have looked like, what it does look like, those kind of things. And so we have worked, we went through that whole process. Our house didn't have a carriage house. It probably should have. It very well might have if the Hopkins had, we're going to cover more of their story in the future, but if the Hopkins had lived here much longer than they did, there's a good possibility that we would have ended up with a carriage house. So we had to go for a full variance because at our carriage house that we were proposing, with the 3-car garage with an actual living space above it, that exceeded the maximum that was allowable under the not only the historic side of it, but the Marion County, Indianapolis, that exceeded their limits. So we had to go for full variance, and that was before the full, council that we had to go and make our presentation to, which was an interesting experience in and of itself. And a lot of this stuff has not been, inexpensive, we'll say. Some of this stuff has been quite expensive just to get those things done. And I'm one that I do a lot of the stuff myself, like the drawings and presentations and all those kind of things I did myself. But at the same time, we've talked to an architect. I'm going to have a structural engineer involved in a lot of what I'm doing, especially when it comes to the foundation and what we may be required to do as far as some of the structural repairs and things like floor joists and roof rafters and those kind of things that we may have to do down the future. I'm definitely one that I use those kind of people. I hire them, I use them for their expertise. And, so those are the things that we haven't really talked about at all, but that actually took quite a bit of time. I mean, going through the whole historic scenario, getting all those approvals and whatnot, that was almost a year in actual time from the time I started till we got all of our final approvals. We kind of jumped the gun a little bit even on that because some of it we weren't prepared to start on just yet. But those things, we haven't talked about at all. But we, just know that those were also in the background. Those were things that we had to do. Those are things that we're still working on. We have to go every year and re-update those things so that they know, where our progress is. And, it's just part of the scenario. But for now, we'll tour the rest of the house, and then you will pretty much be up to date on where the work progress stands. And going forward, you can get kind of updates on the work we're doing currently. So sit back, enjoy, and this will get you pretty much caught up. Thanks again for visiting. All right, so now we'll come inside. This is the north side of the house. Like I said, it was a duplex. As you walk in, we've got a little bit of a mess going on right now, but this is kind of become the catch-all space. As we showed you in the original video, one of the fireplaces, these were gas-fed fireplaces. They are fake, and I'll show you when I get to the other side how we know they're fake and how they're just an afterthought, really. This entryway kind of space here with these bookcases, these don't have any doors. This side on either side here, it does have doors. As you can see, they're glass doors. We're not sure exactly how we're going to incorporate some of this stuff, but we'll reuse a lot of this, if nothing else, in the kitchen. A big stack of doors that a friend of mine gave me from a house that he was rehabbing and flipping. I'm not sure we can use them, but they were free. Staircase number 1, and then we'll have another one that looks just like it on the other side. These staircases, as I was tearing out the one on the other side, you'll see they're actually pretty hilarious. These are pieces of the original staircase that was in the house. When you start taking things apart and you start finding baluster holes and whatnot, you realize that they just recycled it into this. So what we're going to try to do is salvage the whole staircase and make it, hopefully have enough pieces to make one staircase. As you enter this kitchen here, there's a built-in. It's very poorly done. I know this because of the fact that this space right here was also part of that built-in, and we took it out early on so that we could get 2 halves of the house. You can enter each half from the inside. The original, or not original, but one of the small little kitchens, there are some things here that we may be able to salvage, if not salvage, maybe recycle for somebody else to use. As you can see, we got lots of tools and things around here. And we come around here, this floor, when we go to if we go to the basement here, this floor that I'm on is very spongy. There has been a fire underneath this house amongst everything else. This is the door down to the basement, and then this one here is the door back to the back porch. I've kind of got them screwed shut right now so that, or at least nobody can get in any case. You can see that this part of this build-in was just a door that they cut in half. So it's really pretty bad. Like I said, the whole build-in was pretty bad. This little half bath was added at some point in time. We don't know when. It's nothing special. All of the windows that you see like this, that are the 2/2, they should be a 2/2. This is one sash of what was probably an original window. So we're going to try to take all of these off because they've been attached with hinges on the sides. And we're going to try to take all these off and resalvage them and put them back into actual windows that go up and down like they should. Now we walk through the hole here that we created. Some of more of my goodies that we've gathered along the way is window weights. I have a really unique idea on trying to redo windows. This built-in, I'm not sure you can see that little bump out right there in the ceiling right there. That's where the drain line comes down from the toilets. As you can see, this whole built-in is rotted beyond belief because that up on that ceiling right there, this is where the toilets leak, and all of this has been getting wastewater run over it for who knows how long. I'm not going to try to salvage much of that. I might try to salvage the doors here that have got the glass in them, but beyond that, that's about it. Where we had a half bath on the other side, we have an actual like little laundry hookup. Again, very soft floors and windows that were repurposed for other things. The other kitchen set, and again, the door that goes to nowhere. There's no steps there, there's nothing else. And then on this side, again, entrance to the basement and entrance to the back porch, which again I have these screwed in right now so that you can't get them open, so we won't go out on those back porches. But if I show you the ceiling, show you the walls, I mean, you can see that there's a lot of plaster that's come loose. There's a lot of plaster that's falling down. We're going to go into the other half of the living room here now. Okay, so we want this, like I said, the two halves are almost exactly alike, except for the fact that we have this really cool three-sided bay. That is a two-story bay. We come in the front door up here, and the whole front facade of the house has been altered. These doors might have been original. I don't think so. We are going to try to salvage those doors and reuse them in some form or fashion, just not as the main doors to the house. These windows here in the front, as you can see maybe with the glare, is that those windows do not match these windows. My house should have all 2/2 windows, like they do on either side of this fireplace here, and they don't. Now, if we look to the ceiling, I have done no demolition in this room. Well, I've done a little bit, but I've done none of this that's here. This is all from the ceiling that leaks up, the roof that leaks upstairs. It comes through the floor, and it has damaged all that. Now, I was telling you about some surprises that we found along the way, and here's one of the ones you're going to love. This is the fireplace on the south side of the house, the south side of the duplex. I started kind of just taking this apart to see what I had found, what I could find. And what you find is that you get behind here, here's a stud. Oops. These have been just cut out. There's nothing, let it kind of pick that up, but there's nothing below those two studs. Maybe there's a third one there even, to the floor. This is the outside of my house. So I have a cavity of about 4 feet plus that literally has the studs just cut out of it. So there's nothing holding this wall up. There's a big gap in it. Now, the result of that is that this corner, from this corner over here, from this add-on wall was added. There's nothing underneath that wall either. They just put it right over top of the floor. This is the center wall dividing the two units now. But from this corner across to this corner, there is almost a 3-inch dip in the floor. Now this high point right here, where my foot is, if we can get it right there, this is there is another foundation at this point. Then the house is extended out about 4 feet to the second foundation. This was what they did to bump the house out so that they can make it a duplex. But because this outside wall is sagging, it is sagging very severely. So it has you can almost see it. If I get in real close here, you can kind of see where, some of this out of the way here, you can see where it's separated, but you can see where that piece is literally broke off and the rest of the corner is sagging down. I didn't go any further with this. I'm about to, here in the near future, as we start to demo this second half of the house here, but there's what we've got. There's a fireplace stack that runs through this wall. We don't believe that it has, I think it's just a flue stack. I don't believe that there's anything else to it. We could be wrong, but we'll find that out soon. So this room is what we hope to become the eventual dining room, actually. What we want to use, this may stay the way that these are built in. These built-ins are actually a little nicer. I'm not sure yet. But that front door will go. We'll redo the windows, and probably a portion of this wall here that divides the two will come away, or maybe the whole wall. We may put some pocket doors back in, or an opening with fretwork, something along those lines. Because you're going to enter the actual house from the north side, and then this will become basically the main living room, parlor, whatever you want to call it. We plan on rebuilding an actual fireplace where that one sits. It may just be an insert unit, but we may go with a wood burner. We're not sure yet. And then build an actual, chimney and build that in a much better way than it is right now. It's fairly dangerous. The gas lines are still run to it. The gas is onto the house, but I have it shut off at the meters, so we should be all right there. Now, this staircase is going to go away entirely from this side. As you can see, I've kind of started tearing it apart. And this was when I realized that the bits and pieces, the door that leads to nowhere is on this side, on the landing of the staircase. And this is when I realized that the bits and pieces of the staircase had just been recycled from the original staircase that was in the house. So I'm hoping to salvage all these pieces and then reuse them as the main staircase, as the only staircase in the house. This is also where the house gets really funny. These stairway holes, we're going to cover a lot more about these stairway holes when we get upstairs. But this portion of the house, you can see that the bay comes to here, and then there's kind of a bump out back over that way. The back section of my house is 1 foot wider than the front section of my house. I'm assuming that this was done because they couldn't make the staircase work. I don't know. Or trying to make the two halves equal. I'm not exactly sure. But we think, we're not certain, but we think that the trim around these windows here in the bay may be original to the house. Can't prove that yet, but we will hopefully discover all that as we start tearing this out, and we'll go from there. My plan is to rebuild all these windows or replicate them or whatever fashion. I'm not going to put new modern windows in it. I've been working on a plan to try to figure out a way to make old windows much more efficient. Now, there are lots of gas lines in the walls here, like these you can see. This house originally had gas ran through the whole house for all the light fixtures. And what we've discovered is that there's still a lot of those pipes in the walls. It is what it is. So we'll head upstairs now. All right, so as we go up the stairs here, there are various widths as well. It's pretty, like I said, it's kind of hilarious. They lean severely. This side, the other side is even worse than this side. This side kind of leans at about a 10-degree angle down here, and then as I go up, it tilts in a different direction, which is, kind of the story of everything about this house. One of the first things that we had done when we moved in here was that right here at the top of the steps, between this stud here and this stud here, we tore an opening. That way it was right at the top of both sets of stairs. We just busted through the plaster, cut an opening in there, and this was our access in and out to the both halves. So obviously the upstairs, we have been working hard. We have been demoing. These two windows, this is where the house kind of gets really interesting. If we can make this out, this wall here in this room, these are 1-inch thick planks. They vary in size. The thickest one I found is about 16 inches wide, but they vary in size from 6-8 inches to 12, 14, 16. Like I said, this one right here, this one is every bit of 18 inches, and it runs from there to that corner. Now, what we've discovered is that the original parts of the house, upstairs at least, have these. It's on the other side over here as well. You can see it over there on the bay. It's got the same woodwork, and this comes in very handy, and we talk about this numerous times along the way. So, as I catch you kind of up on it, there's a lot of good stuff in there, but it's the original parts of the house is what I'm trying to tell you, is that that's the original parts of the house. This is where this wall back here is where the house ended originally. There were no staircases on the other side. There was no kitchen. There was no back rooms. This is where the house literally ended. Here in the front, as we go up through here, we've taken out part of this wall because this wall was an added wall. This wall right here has more of that planking, and you can kind of see, if I get the camera right, you can kind of see where they just hacked it off, and then this portion was the original outside of the house, and now the house has been extended to here. This cavity right here is a closet, and it was originally outside of the house. Again, I have gaps in my floor down here where the floor sag from this high spot to the outside wall because it just didn't exist. They added pieces and parts. Again, my front windows do not match the style of my house. It's been a fun, joyous experience learning everything about this house. But obviously, we started on that half. This is the half over here. You can see my stack of buckets. They're actually kind of full. It's been raining a lot lately, so I'm going to have to empty all my buckets again. I don't catch all the water, but I catch about 85 to 90% of it, just because the floor's buckled. Like I said, these hardwoods are not hardwoods. You can see here it's a pretty thin veneer laid over the top of what was probably the original subfloor. This wall that you can see that runs this way, this is one of the bearing walls. All my ceiling joists, all my floor joists run front to back, so this is the first bearing wall here. And then same with this back to here, back to the wall with all the planking on it. That's the original parts of the house. Those are 2x6 old growth timbers that were the original ceiling joists. We will have to do modern time. We'll have to make that a little stiffer, even though those boards will probably outspan anything I can find these days. But we'll have to sister to all those, and there's a lot of work yet. I know I'll cover some more of the details about this in some other videos. There's my chimney stack, and you can see it goes all the way up. There's actually a ladder up to a hatch up there, but there's where we're at. And then we go back this way, and I have removed one of the old little bathrooms with the clawfoot tub. It's sitting right there on the floor. We hope to reuse all of those. We don't want to. The toilets, both of the toilets that were up here are broken actually, but we hope to be able to salvage those tubs and reuse them. And then this is the back bedroom that we haven't got to, that we're probably going to start working on today. Out to my porch. And you can see the backyard, which we've already covered. And then we'll go to the other side and see the same thing. So they were pretty much mirror images of each other than the bay. And this little back porch, you know, I have my mountain of lath that I've got to get rid of, but for now it's just sitting here. And you can see from this side of the back porch out to my backyard, which, you know, as I said, I've kind of cleaned it up a bit. Actually, I've cleaned it up a lot, but I've cleaned it up quite a bit here just even this spring, this summer. And we've got a long way to go because it is out of control. That little space back there, from here you can see where the little old garage was, and how much of the concrete is still there and in the way. So that's pretty much the house as she's sitting right now. It doesn't seem like a lot, but yet it is a lot. You know, it's just that there's a long way to go yet. And again, most of the reason why as we're gutting this, it's been one thing after another. It's been, I detail a lot more of these things as in some of the other videos, some of the things that we found, and some of the structural problems that we're having. But it's just a long way to go. And so you feel like, you work and you work and you work and you haven't gotten anywhere, but yet you really have. It's just that there's just still a lot longer to go. A lot of these wires and things that you see, this half, the north half of the house, or actually, the south half of the house, I've already taken all the fuses out of the box downstairs. There's not a single fuse on this side. I got tired of getting shocked when wires just all of a sudden, you'd go to flip a switch and electricity would shoot out of it. The north half of the house has circuit breakers, but it's still pretty old and pretty crappy wiring, although it's been a little more updated than the north half has, or the south has. But all in all, it's all going to go away. I've got an electrician friend of mine that's hopefully going to get here soon and put me a temporary power pole in place so we can just drop all the lines off the house. I know one thing I did want to show you. As we've cleaned up the yard and got rid of a lot of the trees and whatnot, some of my overgrowth was into the wires, and so some of my wires are fairly low, as you can see. I can reach up and touch them. Those are all old phone wires, cable wires, but one electrical overhead goes right there, but that goes to my half bracket that remains. And then on this side over here, you can just barely see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. The other bracket that's over on that side, and the other electrical overhead is attached right below it. So here's our pole right here, and what we hope to do is set a temporary pole right there and drop the power down to it to get the wires off of the house, and I will then be able to salvage my brackets and start replicating them. Those are the only two that are left on the house, and this one here on this side is actually pretty well, it's rotted away pretty significantly, but at least we have a template that we can work off of. So we're pretty excited about that part. But that's where we are. We're going to get busy here. So that's kind of caught you up. It's a long way to go yet, but we're getting there. Well, there's our tour. Thank you very much for watching. Starting next week, we'll have videos of me actually doing the work as we go forward. But thanks again.